The first thing I noticed when I entered the Grant family's penthouse dining room was that it smelled like money. The room, a vintage wine and entitlement cocktail, made with foreign wood polish and a long polished mahogany table that stretched farther than sense. The chandelier above flickered, as if it were vying for attention. It was wider than several residences. There were 11 seats in the room, and everything was set up precisely, populated by individuals wearing well-tailored suits, practicing smiles, and displaying generational conceit. Emmy, the 12th, the outsider. Me. I sat down quietly, as usual, and grinned courteously at my wife, Clara, who looked as beautiful as diamond earrings that gleamed in every ray of light, and with an expression on her face like the world owed her a thank. She didn't look at me. Her brother Mason was seated at the far end, already halfway through his second glass of wine. He was confident in a way that only comes from never being told no. On the other side of him, Charles sat at the head of the table, and Mother Lorraine wiped her lips with a linen handkerchief, her gaze hard and calculating. "To family," said Grant, who once shook my hand as if he were welcoming a charity case. He raised his glass in my direction. "To family," he murmured. Everyone repeated it. I nodded, said nothing. Grabbed my glass. Mason asked me for water, and the dinner began, as usual, with polite insults and fake interest masquerading as compliments. Lorraine inquired if I had found a job that paid in a field other than hope. Clara asked whether I was still attempting the computer thing. She didn't speak much. She didn't have to. Foie gras, quail egg, candy appetizers. I sliced tiny pieces of truffle I couldn't pronounce, chewed them gently, and waited. Because I already knew what was coming, Charles tapped his glass. "It's not just dinner. You learn things when you live quietly. You hear what people think you miss." He smiled. "We've planned a small family custom before we continue. It's just light-hearted fun." He gave me a wink like I was about to laugh. Then a hum started coming from hidden speakers, and the lights dimmed. A screen descended behind them, brightened, expertly trimmed. Then it flashed, deadbeat, rejection, laughter, a failed son-in-law. Unemployed, disappointed. Out of breath, Mason murmured, "Be careful." He could cry, but Clara didn't. She lifted her glass and sipped slowly as if to toast her improved life, despite her best efforts to conceal her sneer. After a brief moment of eye contact, Lorraine turned to me with a practiced smile. "It was only a joke, sweet Charles. It's all in good fun, son." Charles laughed that deep, booming laugh of a man who never had to ask permission. "I enjoy you being here." I glanced back at the screen. The words were clear. Bold. Someone had actually spent money on this, planned it, maybe weeks in advance, put in work to make me look foolish, interesting. I looked down at my plate, placed my napkin on the table slowly, stood up, without yelling. "Drama?" I said. "Joke's over." They hesitated, uncertain. Some kept laughing, thinking I'd play along. I reached into my jacket pocket, unlocked my phone, tapped a folder, called evening. My thumb hesitated. Then I looked up. Play. The screen flickered. Laughter stopped. A new video loaded. The slideshow paused. The room went quiet, as silent as a pitch-black backdrop. Charles blinked when white writing appeared. "Welcome to the real Grant family." I didn't have to say anything. The film started. Mason's footage, clearly intoxicated, boasting to a group of investors at a rooftop bar. His voice was slurred, but the words were crystal clear. "I don't care if it's against the law." Charles assured the zoning office they'd allow the property move. "We'll unload the stocks after that quarter. Clean house." Lorraine's fork fell. Gasps echoed across the table. Charles stood. "Turn that off." I held up a hand, gave a small gesture. He ran to the wall. Control panel. Nothing happened. I turned it off hours ago, I said. The video continued. Clara's voice, now filling the room. A recording from a spa room. He's nice, but in reality, he's only useful. He helps me. Let me concentrate on important things, like my friends. He fits in with the furnishings. Sometimes I forget he's even there. Silence. I stood still, composed, gazing into her eyes. Her hand trembled as she reached for her glass again, now pale, and set it down. Charles was red with fury. "You're done," he growled. "You realize this is treason." I smiled, just a little. "No, Charles. This is accountability." The film kept rolling. Phone logs, emails, tax records, all authentic. Every backdoor transaction, every veiled threat, every unspoken grievance. A recording of Lorraine's voice played. "Differ the donation. Move it through the education wing." No one checks there. They made a spectacle of my alleged failure. So tonight, I gave them the truth. Not in rage, not in pride, just truth. The screen went dark, the lights came back on, and no one laughed. I looked around the table, then at Clara, the woman who once told me I wasn't made for the spotlight. Her lips parted, but no words came. Put my phone back in my pocket. "It turns out," I said, "I was simply checking to see if it was worth stepping into the spotlight." I turned, walked away. Only silence followed. They used to say I was lucky. "You're lucky to be part of this family. Clara chose you. Charles allows you into his circles." They thought it was a compliment. It wasn't. I wasn't lucky. I was perceptive, but I stayed quiet because I was learning. In rooms like that, silence has power. If you talk too fast, they mock you. Stay silent too long, and they grow afraid. I met Clara when I was 27. She was polished, lovely, with a smile that said she'd never failed. Back then, I was building a platform, a system that monitored financial patterns in real time. It was clever, risky, dangerous in the wrong hands. She didn't understand it, but she saw potential. She called me quietly powerful, said it was rare in a man. I believed her. Then she brought me to meet her family. And that's when I realized what the grants were. Smiles like sharks, tests disguised as kindness. At my first fundraiser, I wore a blazer and tie. Everyone else wore tuxedos. I was mocked. Lorraine fanned herself and said, "Oh, he's modest." That night, something shifted inside me. They didn't want me to blend in. They wanted me to stay thankful, stay small. So